Hello, and thank you for coming to the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt, and today we're going to be doing the best Marvel movies that are not canon to the MCU. We're going to be going from the worst to the best. But first, I need you to hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Now let's get on with the show. Now, the movies I'll be using in this are from Blade to New Mutants. I was going to go with Howard the Duck or the first Punisher movie because those are older movies and they're not as well made as these movies are. Now, the first movie I'll be starting off with is Blade. This was the first movie that came out that really helped Marvel get on the map when it comes to making movies. And it was rated R. If it wasn't for Blade, you wouldn't have X-Men, Fantastic Four, or the MCU. In my opinion, the first Blade movie I put as number 7. Next is the first X-Men movie. I put that as number 8. After that, I put Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie, I put as number 5. Of all the Spider-Man movies, I believe that's the best one. And then you got Blade 2. I put that as number 15. Then you got the Hulk. That's the one with Eric Bana in it. And I think it was probably one of the worst Marvel movies that's ever been made. I put that as number 30. You know, the idea that Hulk never stops growing when he gets angry. It made his power unlimited. It OP'd him too much. Next is X-Men 2. I put as number 14. Then it's Daredevil. It's one of the movies I think is actually worse than the Hulk. I don't believe it had anything to do with any of the actors in it. I believe it had mostly to do with the writing in it. It's awful. Next is The Punisher. I put it as number 10. Now that's The Punisher that has Thomas Jane that plays him, he did a really good job in that movie. I really enjoyed that movie. Next is Spider-Man 2. Which I put that as number 11 right after that. Now that one's pretty good when it comes to the special effects and with Doc Ock. But other than that, I didn't think too much of it compared to the first one. Next is Blade 3. I put that as number 18. Number 32 is Elektra, which I thought was the worst out of all these movies. Like I said about Daredevil, it was the writing. Horrible. I don't think it had anything to do with the acting in it. It was mostly the writing, and some of the directing in it was just shaking cameras, and the screen was too dark. You had no idea what was going on. The action sequences were not very good, and they were poorly directed. Next is Fantastic Four. Put that as number 22. Now, the Fantastic Four franchise has not had a chance to shine yet. Obviously, it might get a chance to shine in the MCU. Hopefully it does. But the 3 movies they have made for it have been not stellar. The next is X-Men 3, and I put that at number 19. Next is Spider-Man 3. I put that at number 17. Now, out of all the Spider-Man movies, I believe, well, when it comes to the one that Sam Raimi's directed, and it has Tobey Maguire, I think that is the worst one. I think they had too many villains going on at the same time, and the writing couldn't keep up with it. Next is Ghost Rider. I put that as number 16. That's another character I don't think has gotten his just dues in the movies yet. The first one wasn't bad. The second one was awful. But the first one wasn't too bad. But I think if the MCU gets a chance, I think he'll do better. Next is Fantastic Four 2. That will be going to number 25. Next is Punisher Warzone, number 13. I really enjoyed the gore in that movie, and I thought the guy they got to play the Punisher did a great job, and he fit the bill more than Thomas Jane did. But Thomas Jane's version of the Punisher I thought was better overall. Next is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Put that as 27. That movie's pretty bad. I didn't really like it. They mutilated Deadpool, and it was pretty bad. Next is X-Men First Class. I put that as number 9. Really good movie. I mean, it was a hard choice which one would be first when it came to the X-Men movie, if it would be that one or the first X-Men movie that came out in 2001. I chose the first one because if it wasn't for that one, this one wouldn't exist. Next is Ghost Rider 2. I put that as 24. Next is Spectacular Spider-Man. I put that as number 6. I thought that was a good beginning for a reboot. I mean, that movie was really good. And then the second one kind of went all crap, but that one was really good. Next is The Wolverine. I put that as number 26. It was better than Wolverine Origins, but barely. Next is Spectacular Spider-Man 2. I put that as 21. Next is X-Men Days of Future Past. I put that as number 4. Excellent movie. I think these 4, 1 through 4, could compete with any MCU movie out there as with them. It could definitely beat any of the MCU movies that are the worst ones. And there's not many of them. There might be 2 or 3 that are not very good, but they're better than most of these. Then you got the reboot of Fantastic Four. I got that as number 23. Next is Deadpool. I put that as number 2. Fantastic movie, funny, stick with the character. He broke the fourth wall. You name it, they did it with that movie. Fantastic. Next is X-Men Apocalypse. What a disappointing movie. It really disappointed me on the quality of that movie. The special effects are good, but the writing and premise of it was awful. All right, next is Logan. I put that as number 1. In my opinion, when it comes to movies that are comic book movies that should get some kind of award, I think Logan, Black Panther, Endgame are perfect examples of movies that I believe there's a bias towards because they're comic book movies. If it wasn't for that, I believe these actors would have gotten an award for it. Next is Deadpool 2. I put that as number 3. I mean, it was a great sequel to the first one. It stuck with Deadpool acting the same way as he did before. Good storyline, funny, and just fantastic movie overall. Venom is number 12. Now, a lot of people might have disagreements on where I put Venom. I can't disagree with it. Might be better in some of these movies, but in my opinion, it belongs in 12. Next is Dark Phoenix. Probably one of the worst X-Men movies ever made. Awful movie. I mean, that says a lot when you say X-Men 3 and Apocalypse is worse than it. This is worse than that. Next is New Mutants, and I put that as number 29. Well, that's the end of my list, and if you agree, that's cool. If you don't, please tell me what you think it should be different at the bottom. Let me know. All right. This is the end of the show. Please hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Peace.